I was texting with one of one of Dirt's buddies, and he was just telling me how close it's been to Mahomes having more than what he has. I mean, if D Ford's not lined up wrong, they beat the Patriots. I think most people probably pick the Chiefs to win that one. And then I text, and if his offensive line isn't banged to hell, I'm picking them to beat Tampa. Like it's that thin a margin. It's that small a gap between him having maybe 3 on Sunday to him maybe having like 4 and 5. And like that's what greatness does. And part of that greatness is having good leadership. Andy Reid's an interesting one to me. He's got to be one of the highest approval ratings of a coach in the NFL, if not the highest. I mean, who hates Andy Reid? Why do you hate Andy Reid? Unless you're anti-cheeseburger, I don't know why anybody would hate Andy Reid. He's fun. He's jolly. He's got a great mustache. He's fantastic on those TV commercials. I mean, his mustache was frozen solid during that playoff game. I don't know if that was sweat or if those were boogers, but that mustache was icy. And Andy Reid's got this kind of thing around him right now where it's a little noisy of what is he going to do? Well, there's an ESPN story out of people very close in his life, one of them being the general manager, saying there's no indication that he's done. He has a quote in here where he goes to his beach house in California during the offseason right before training camp, and he basically says, some people read novels. I watch football plays. And every day he spends 2 hours watching film, coming up with concepts, etc. He's just obsessed with football. Football is Andy Reid's life. He went to Italy last summer. And somebody said, well, what'd you do there? He's like, I ate my way from the south to the north. Like, Andy Reid finds things to do, but nobody can quite lock him down on doing something non-football. Football is just who he is. And I keep wondering, despite this article, and he was asked at the media session, hey, is this it? And he says, well, today's not the day. I hope he stays. I think he's fun to have in the NFL. I also am not going to be shocked if he does retire. It's loud for a reason. And maybe it's just loud because he's older and, this is kind of the natural question we ask these coaches of a certain age, Schultze. But the noise seems to be, no. But it's almost like, well, then why is it noisy at all? If it was no doubt he's coming back, I find it interesting that the questions are asked, that people are writing articles about it. It has a little bit of a, could he be riding off into the sunset after this game if they win?
I mean, you wonder why the initial questions are being raised. You always think, well, are agents throwing some rumors out there? Do they want negotiating power?
He doesn't need
exactly.
He is the Chiefs. He doesn't need
that.
Yeah,
he who's going to go hire him and pay him more money and give him a better situation in the NFL? Nobody. So that's out.
He will retire a Chief when or if ever he does, unless he gets desperate at 74 to want to keep coaching.
Yeah,
he will retire a Chief. It's just like the Chiefs are not. He doesn't need to leverage the Chiefs. The Chiefs have given him everything for this.
And I mean, then you start to say, well, what else could it be? There's age. He's 65. He'll be 66 in March. There's, of course, the two recent guys, 72 and 73, Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll, that, kind of got put out to pasture because they're getting older.
Jobless, yeah.
Yeah, Reid's not there yet, but you do start to at least hear some rumblings as guys get into their mid to late 60s, I feel like, in the NFL, especially now in the age where, we're hiring the Mike McDonalds. We're hiring all these, young
the McVays, the Shanahans, et cetera, the McDaniels, yeah.
Exactly. Young 30s, young, maybe 40 at this point. Like, that almost seems old. So it's not surprising to me that maybe just because of the age he was in Philly for, I think, like 14 years. This is his 11th or 12th year in Kansas City. Been coaching in the NFL for the last 25. At some point, there are questions out there that are worthy to be asked. Like, hey, are you thinking about it? Do you want to ride off into the sunset on top? Like John Elway? Do you want to try and just, like
Bill Cowher did it.
Exactly.
Won it with the Steelers in 05 in Detroit. Jerome Bettis is from Detroit. Hadn't heard that.
The bus.
And he won in 05. That was it for him. And then in comes Mike Tomlin. So, not every coach gets... I mean, Belichick... You think Belichick wanted to end the Patriot run that way?
No, they tore the jersey off of him, essentially.
Here's the difference, though. Belichick had an aging quarterback.
Yeah.
And while many people question Tom Brady... It still kind of felt like, 20 years, it's an awful long time for that to go. It's interesting where they're at, Mahomes and Reid. I think somebody had said Mahomes is 28 on the YouTube chat. 27, 28. I don't know whatever he's.
Yeah, he's incorrectly said 26.
Okay, that's fine. But he's not even 30 yet.
No.
It's kind of like a perfect balance where Reid is older and veteran and a little more laid back, and he allows Patrick Mahomes to be Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's got a great working relationship with his quarterback. Belichick didn't want to end that way. Very rarely do coaches get to go out on top. And I'm not saying that he's going to retire. Again, the noise is largely pointing to no, he's still got a lot of football in him. But it wouldn't be the most shocking thing to me, given that there is some noise, if that's what he ultimately decides to do if they win on Sunday.
Do you think there are ever similar questions about Andy Reid that there are about Bill Belichick? Because you see all the quotes on social media, at least not really from the national media, just from keyboard warriors that say, well, Bill wouldn't have won without Tom Brady. He'd be nothing without that quarterback.
Well, but, yeah.
Are people going to say the same thing about Andy Reid?
Well, I don't think it's not really an important thing to debate, and people talk about it, but it's not important to me.
Okay.
A great coach is a great coach because he also has a great quarterback or an all-time team. Joe Gibbs is maybe the most underrated, given that he won 3 different Super Bowls with 3 different starting quarterbacks. That's an amazing feat that I would be willing to wager we don't see again. None of that matters to me. What matters is, when does he hang him up? How does he decide to do it? Does he go out on top? All of that stuff is sitting here looming, but he's got a quarterback who's 28. He doesn't have to rush that decision, nor does it feel like he will. The other thing he has over Belichick, and we'll go here because we got Eric Eager, he is growing and evolving with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Belichick's a good defensive mind, no doubt. His staff kept being the same. It was like, I'm bringing Bill O'Brien back. I want Josh McDaniels. Joe Judge, come on down. Matt Patricia, it was the same cronies. And none of that was working. But he refused to get off it. Reid at least surrounds himself with a younger, good staff. I mean, God, look at Spags, right? And he's got Patrick Mahomes. So I just think they're aging differently because there's circumstance in the way that they decide to do it. You're going to have to hold the take you got.
Just tiny. If I'm Andy Reid, I am starting to look at Bill Belichick. I'm starting to see that on my sights. Like, I could catch that.
It's hard. I don't think I'm thinking about that. I think I'm just like, I got Patrick Mahomes. This is awesome.